Okay, we are going to be talking about how to add fractions with unlike denominators. So let's start with an example. If we were to add a half and 1/4. Now, I like to always compare fractions and decimals to money because I think it helps kids understand a little bit better since everyone is more comfortable with money. But this is not how I'm going to show you how to do it. We're just going to refer to this for our first example. Now let's look at a half. A half is equal to, would represent 50 cents because it's half of a dollar. A fourth would represent a fourth. Another way to say a fourth is it's a quarter. So because a quarter is 1/4 of a dollar because 4 quarters make a dollar. So if we add 50 cents and 25 cents, we get 75 cents because 50 cents is 2 quarters plus one more quarter makes 3 quarters. 3 quarters is 75 cents. If I were to draw that as a picture with the circle representing a dollar and I break it into fourths, each fourth would represent a quarter. There's 1 quarter, 2 quarters, 3 quarters. 3 quarters is 75 cents. Now, let's go over the way that kids usually add fractions the wrong way. If we were to add a half and a fourth, some kids like to add the numerators and then they only add the denominators, and that's going to give you the wrong answer, and let's prove why. 2 plus 4 is 6. This will be the wrong answer. So let's draw a picture to show why. If we were to break this into sixths, 2/6 would be this much because I've colored in 2 out of 6. Now 2 out of 6, as you can see, is a smaller portion than 3 out of 4. If this was a pizza cut into 4 slices, you have more than half of the pizza. Here, if the pizza is cut into 6 slices, you have less than half the pizza. So this is the wrong way. Now I'm going to put a box around this. I always like to tell my students to box their work before they start something new. So let's do this in a different color. We'll just use blue and show the right way to do a half and a fourth. If we're going to add a half and a fourth, you want your denominators to be the same. The easiest way to do that is that first you have to find the least common multiple of the two denominators. The easiest way I've found to do that is I always circle the bigger number that I'm trying to find the least common multiple of, and then you skip count by that number until you get a multiple of the other number. We're trying to find the least common multiple of 4 and 2. Well, if we're skip counting by 4, we start with 4. 4 is a multiple of 4, and 4 is a multiple of 2. So now our new denominator that we'll use is 4. Well, look at this. This is going to be the same. 4 times 1 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. We're now making equal fractions. Now we're going to make 1/2 write it a new way with the new denominator. 1/2, we're asking how 1/2 equals how many fourths? Well, 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 times 2 is 2. All this means is 1/2, we're just writing it a new way. 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Let's draw a picture to prove it. 1/2 means half of your pizza is there. Can also be expressed as 2/4. And 1/4 is still just 1/4. Now we're going to add them together. I'll just make this a little addition also. Now, here we're adding our numerators. We have 2/4 plus 1 more fourth makes 3/4. And here we have 2 out of 4 plus 1 out of 4 makes 3/4. Whether we did it this way or drew a picture, we get the same answer. Let's try another example. Once again, I'm going to box my work to keep things looking nice and neat. I'll do a pink one down here. Let's try to add, let's say, 1/5 plus 1/3. Okay? Now remember, we want to find the least, we want to make our denominators the same, and the easiest way I've found to find least common multiple is to circle the bigger number you're finding the least common multiple of, and then you're going to skip count by that number until we get a multiple that is a multiple of 3 also. So we start with 5, that's not a multiple of 3, 10, that doesn't work, 15. 5, 10, 15. Yes, 3 is a multiple, or 15 is a multiple of 3. So our new denominator we're going to use is 15. The next step is to make equal fractions. Another way to write 1/5. Just like up here where we wrote that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Now, is there another way we could write 1/5? Well, 5 times 3 is 15, and if we're making equal fractions, if we do something to the denominator, we have to do the same thing to the numerator. 1 times 3 is 3. 3 times 5 is 15. 1 times 5 is 5. Now we're ready to add because we have our denominators the same. Remember, our denominators stay the same. We don't add our denominators ever. So 3 plus 5 makes 8/15. And that is in simplest form. That's one that we cannot simplify any further. Let's try one more example. We'll try this with a nice green. Let's try one that we might have to simplify. Let's try this. 1/6 plus 2/5. We have unlike denominators, so we're not ready to add. So I circle my bigger denominator, and I skip count by that until I get a multiple of the 5, or a common multiple of both of the denominators. So I'm going to count out loud to myself, and then you'll know when to stop when you hear me say the number. 6, 12, 18, 24, 30. There we go. 30 is the least common multiple of 5 and 6. Now we make our equivalent fractions. 6 times 5 is 30. 1 times 5 is 5. 5 times 6 is 30. 2 times 6 is 12. Well, I was wrong there. We're not going to be able to simplify this one as I look ahead, because 5/30 plus 12/30, we add our numerators, is 17/30. And as I look at it to see if we can simplify it, the greatest common factor of 17 and 30 is only 1, so it can't be simplified. I can't divide 17 and 30 by anything greater than 1, so it's in simplest form. We're going to stop right there, and maybe I could make some more examples later and find out what we could do if we end up with an improper fraction.